Raj Malhotra thought he had found love again with his young bride Ananya Sharma, but when he discovered she had once been in a secret relationship with his own son Arjun, the shocking truth ignited a chain of betrayal, rage, and tragedy no one could have imagined. Raj Malhotra had always lived a life of discipline and routine. A successful businessman in his late 40s, he had raised his only son, Arjun, after the painful death of his first wife. For years, Raj dedicated himself entirely to work and fatherhood, never entertaining the thought of love again. But when he met Ananya Sharma at a family friend's wedding, something shifted inside him. Ananya was only 27, radiant with youth, charm, and ambition. She carried herself with a warmth that instantly drew people toward her, and Raj was no exception. What began as polite conversations soon blossomed into something more, and before long they were seen as an unlikely but happy couple. Many whispered about their age difference, but Raj dismissed the gossip. He believed love didn't follow numbers or expectations. His friends admired his courage to embrace happiness again, while others thought Ananya was after his wealth. Yet in his heart, Raj felt her affection was genuine. She laughed at his stories, encouraged his dreams, and seemed to bring life back into a man who had long accepted loneliness as his companion. For the first time in years, Raj felt whole again. The wedding was a grand affair, celebrated under strings of golden lights and surrounded by family and friends. Raj, dressed in an ivory sherwani, couldn't take his eyes off his bride. Ananya, in a red silk lehenga, looked like a vision of promise and new beginnings. Guests cheered, and the newlyweds were showered with blessings. Raj's son Arjun, now a young man of 24, attended with a quiet smile. To Raj, it seemed like his family was finally healing. He imagined dinners filled with laughter, holidays spent together, and a sense of unity returning to his home. After the marriage, Raj and Ananya settled into their spacious suburban house, one that Raj had carefully built over the years. The mornings were filled with the aroma of fresh tea, the sounds of shared conversations, and the comfort of companionship he had missed for so long. Ananya seemed eager to take on her new role as a wife and stepmother. She decorated the home with small touches, framed photographs, fresh flowers, and lively colors that softened the coldness left behind by years of solitude. To neighbors and acquaintances, the Malhotra household looked like a picture of happiness, a symbol of second chances. Raj was convinced he had made the right choice. He believed the dark chapters of his past were finally closed, unaware that beneath this perfect beginning lay secrets that would one day tear his world apart. The first few months of marriage moved smoothly, but slowly Raj began to notice small changes in the atmosphere of his home. At first, it was nothing more than fleeting glances, a hesitation in Ananya's voice when Arjun entered the room, or the way she quickly put away her phone whenever Raj walked in. These moments seemed harmless on their own, but together they created a pattern he could no longer ignore. Raj tried to convince himself it was only his imagination, the natural awkwardness of a young woman adjusting to life as a stepmother in a household where her husband's son was nearly her age. Yet deep down, a restlessness began to grow. Family dinners, which Raj had once envisioned as lively and full of warmth, soon became tense and quiet. Arjun often avoided sitting at the table, claiming late, night work or study sessions. When he did join, Ananya spoke very little, and her once bright energy seemed replaced with discomfort. Raj noticed their eyes occasionally meeting, followed by an awkward silence that left him unsettled. The bond he hoped to see between his new wife and his son simply never blossomed. Instead, there was something unspoken lingering in the air, a heaviness that Raj couldn't put into words. On more than one occasion, Raj caught fragments of hushed conversations between them. Sometimes in the hallway, sometimes in the garden, he would hear whispers that immediately stopped when he approached. Their tones carried tension, an edge that sounded neither casual nor friendly. Whenever Raj asked what it was about, both brushed it off as nothing important. He wanted to believe them, but the unease gnawed at him constantly. Ananya's behavior added to his confusion. She had once been affectionate and attentive, but now she seemed distracted, often lost in thought. She spent longer hours on her phone, smiling faintly at messages she never explained. Raj tried to bury his suspicions, telling himself she was simply adjusting to married life. Yet in the quiet of the night, doubt whispered louder than reassurance. Friends who visited the couple noticed Raj's worry, but reassured him that it was only the challenges of blending a family. Neighbors saw only the smiling photographs hung on the walls and the couple walking together in the evenings. To the outside world, the Malhotras looked stable and content, but inside the house, cracks were forming, cracks invisible to others but painfully clear to Raj. Something was wrong, and though he couldn't yet define it, he sensed it was only the beginning of something much darker. One evening, while searching through the storage room for some old business files, Raj stumbled upon a box that didn't belong to him. It was tucked away beneath folded clothes and sealed with tape, as if someone wanted to keep it hidden. Curiosity overtook him, and he carefully opened it, expecting to find trivial personal belongings of Ananya's. Instead, his eyes fell upon a collection of letters, photographs, and small tokens tied with ribbon. His hands grew cold as he picked up the first photograph and saw his son, Arjun, standing next to Ananya. They were younger, smiling, their faces close in a way that revealed more than friendship. One photograph led to another, each telling the same story, a romance that clearly predated his marriage. The letters were even more devastating. They were filled with words of passion and longing, declarations of love, and promises of a shared future. Raj read them in silence, his chest tightening with every line. The handwriting was unmistakably Arjun's, and the affectionate responses were Ananya's. Together, they painted a picture of a relationship that was once deep and meaningful. Raj felt the ground beneath him shift. His marriage, which he had believed to be a second chance at happiness, suddenly seemed like a cruel deception. As he sat surrounded by evidence of their past, his mind raced through every moment of the last few months. The stolen glances, the awkward silences, the whispered conversations. They all made sense now. What he had dismissed as adjustment issues were signs of something far more unsettling. The truth was undeniable. His wife had once been in love with his son. The betrayal cut deeper than anything he had experienced before, striking at the very foundation of his family. Raj's thoughts turned bitter. Did Arjun know all along and stay silent? Did Ananya marry him out of love? Or was he merely a substitute for the man she couldn't have? Every possibility only twisted the knife deeper. He felt humiliated, not only as a husband but as a father. His trust in both of them crumbled in that single moment, leaving behind a storm of anger, confusion, and despair. Alone in the dim storage room, holding the fragments of their secret past, Raj realized his life was no longer what it seemed. The home he thought was built on love and loyalty was instead built on hidden lies, and those lies were about to consume everything he had left. From the moment Raj uncovered the truth, the air inside the Malhotra household grew heavier each day. Though he tried to mask his emotions, his rage surfaced in sudden outbursts and sharp words. Meals that were once shared in strained silence now dissolved into heated arguments. Raj's tone grew colder toward Ananya, and his patience with Arjun all but disappeared. The once proud father and devoted husband had turned into a man consumed by suspicion and bitterness. Every interaction felt like a test of loyalty, every word a reminder of betrayal. Ananya, for her part, seemed determined to bury the past. She insisted nothing remained between her and Arjun, that their relationship had ended long before she married Raj, but her efforts to smooth over the cracks only deepened Raj's doubts. To him, every look she exchanged with Arjun was proof of deceit, every quiet moment evidence of hidden desire. The more she tried to convince him otherwise, the more he believed she was lying. Raj could not erase the images of their shared past from his mind, and those memories haunted him like ghosts in his own home. Arjun, caught in the middle, struggled with his own guilt. He avoided his father, spending more time outside the house, but his absence only fueled Raj's anger. To Raj, avoidance was not innocence but cowardice, and each time Arjun left without explanation, it fanned the flames of distrust. Soon, neighbors began to notice the tension. Loud arguments carried through the walls, sharp voices piercing the quiet of the suburban street. Police were called on more than one occasion to calm disputes, though no one outside the family truly knew the cause. The fragile balance finally shattered one stormy night. The confrontation began with harsh words, but quickly escalated into violence. Raj, blinded by anger and humiliation, lashed out at Ananya in a fit of uncontrollable rage. Shouts turned to screams as objects crashed to the floor. Arjun rushed in to protect her, but his attempt to separate them only intensified the chaos. In the struggle, the situation spiraled beyond control. Raj's fury, mixed with desperation, turned deadly. By the time silence returned to the house, Ananya lay fatally injured, her life ending in the very home where she had once been welcomed as a new bride. What began as a fractured marriage had now erupted into tragedy, leaving behind irreversible devastation. The news of Ananya's death spread quickly through the neighborhood, shaking the quiet community that had once admired the Malhotras as a picture of stability. By the time the police arrived, Raj was still inside the house, his clothes stained, his face hollow with shock and fury. Arjun, distraught and trembling, tried to explain what had happened, but the scene spoke louder than words. Officers placed Raj under arrest, while paramedics confirmed what no one wanted to believe: Ananya was gone. The image of her body being carried out of the home became a memory that neighbors would never forget. The courtroom that followed became a stage for secrets and scandals to unravel. Newspapers seized on the shocking story of a man unknowingly marrying his son's former lover, and the coverage turned the family's private tragedy into a national scandal. Reporters crowded outside the courthouse, desperate for every detail. Inside, the prosecution painted Raj as a man consumed by jealousy and humiliation, unable to control his anger. The defense tried to argue that his actions were born out of emotional torment, that he had been pushed beyond reason after discovering the betrayal. Neither explanation could erase the brutal outcome. Arjun's testimony was the most painful moment of the trial. With a voice weighed down by guilt, he revealed the truth of his past relationship with Ananya. He admitted their love had once been real, but insisted it had ended long before his father's marriage. Still, the revelation confirmed what Raj had discovered in the letters and photographs, that the woman he married had once belonged to his own son. The details left the courtroom stunned, and the whispers that followed carried a mix of pity and judgment. In the end, the jury delivered a guilty verdict, sentencing Raj to life in prison. As the judgment was read, Raj sat motionless, his face etched with bitterness and regret. His downfall was complete. He had lost his wife, destroyed his family, and exchanged the comfort of his home for a prison cell. Arjun, left behind, carried scars that could never heal. He had lost a lover, a stepmother, and now the father he once admired. The house that once stood as a symbol of new beginnings became an empty shell, a haunting reminder of how quickly happiness can turn into horror. The tragedy served as a chilling lesson that secrets buried in the past have the power to shatter even the strongest of bonds when they finally rise to the surface.